Hello everybody, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie and I am your astrologer. Sorry I'm not live. I had so many changes in my schedule this month. I'm getting hit by all these Saturn Uranus squares, so I've had lots of having to move things around. So I wish I could be here live with you. I'm actually recording on Sunday the 25th, but you should be watching this, if not the evening of the 25th, on the 26th. I wanted to make sure that I was here for my Monday morning weekly astro weather. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so a little bit of like some changes that are kind of going on. First things first, you know, usually at the end of the month, I like to do my monthly video for the month ahead. And I was kind of weighing the options going like, well, do I have enough to talk about this week? Can I wait and do the monthlies on the 2nd? So this might just be a longer video because I decided to combine the two. So we are gonna talk about what astrological aspects are going on pretty much from like the 26th through the 1st. And then I'm gonna discuss my overview, and this will be kind of my August 2021 monthly address for all of the transits that are going to be happening. It's such a big month. Things are so active. So you might be here a little bit longer than usual. I've been getting a lot of feedback. A lot of people really like the tarot and the astrology aspect. Stay tuned to the end of the video and I will pull a card to tell you what is in store for your zodiac sign. With all of my predictions, be sure to listen to your sun and rising. Rising is going to be more what's physically happening. The sun is what you need to know for your own personal development. So let's get right into it. I also want to say thank you to my subscribers and to my members for your likes, comments, shares, and also your support. We've got people like Paula, Sam Norton, Catherine Murray, Emma R, and Susan Wexler. All of you guys are supporting the channel on my top tier. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, and stay tuned if you guys want to tune in on Fridays for your reading. If you are part of my top tier subscribers, you support the channel, you get a shout out, and you get one reading a month, whether it's one astrological question or it's a 3-card tarot spread. Check out my lives. They're always Friday evening where you can catch me and you can get a reading because I'm a busy lady. So I'm kind of usually booked up for about 2 months in advance. I'm booking into September now. So those of you guys who are interested in checking that out, please do. So let's start with this week because there's definitely some stuff that's kind of happening, especially coming off of this first of 2 full moons in Aquarius that we just had. That one was more Saturn-like. I don't know if you guys kind of felt that, right? Usually like a full moon in Aquarius is like party time. And I've had time to kind of marinate since the full moon video that I did last week. And one other thing I want to say that I didn't really mention that I really think makes more sense is not only is it rare for us to have these 2 full moons in the same sign, but the first one that we had was kind of sandwiched between Saturn and Pluto. So you might have felt like there was this restriction, this pressure, this need to change something, this frustration, kind of like emotions and kind of feelings like getting to a boiling point. Not everybody had that experience. Certainly if you have any planets around the early degrees of the fixed signs, you felt that intensity a little bit more. I know I did. All of my Scorpio stuff is getting dinged this year. And then we've got another full moon that's going to be happening in Aquarius. I will go in a deep dive into that the week of that in August. But what I will say is that that full moon will be at 29 degrees of Aquarius. So it's that breaking point, Saturn's degree. It's even kind of like a dramatic climax whenever you see anything at 29 degrees. And it's going to really highlight the axis of the excess of Aquarius and the excess of Leo. Drama, fun, unexpected situations, lots of parties, lots of drama. That's what I'm expecting. The good news is that that full moon will be coupled up with Jupiter. So it's almost like we just recently had a conversation with Sirius Saturn and intense Pluto, and they're kind of duking it out right now, trying to say like what barriers or boundaries need to be broken down, which ones are no longer working, where are we kind of tied down a little too tightly, where are we feeling like we are the victim of manipulation or just feeling powerless, right? So everything breaks out in the second full moon. So if you had a little bit of like a more negative kind of limited feeling in terms of the full moon, the next one is going to be much, much better. So stay tuned for that. Let's start off by talking about what's kind of happening going into tomorrow. So on the 26th of the month, let me go back. I know this isn't August, But just so you guys can see it, this might be a little bit easier just for the visuals. So Monday, the 26th, or today, if you're watching this, the moon is going to conjunct Jupiter in Pisces, opposing Mars in Leo and Venus in Virgo. So I'm expecting emotional reactions, triggers, neediness, right? Compassion can also be something else that comes up. When we see the moon come into conjunction with Jupiter, it's expansive, it's emotional, right? Especially in Pisces. It's intuitive. It is very likely to absorb other people's emotions and other people's feelings. With the moon in opposition to Venus, we can be more in our feels, we can be more needy. There can be situations that people are asking us for assistance, pets need more care, we're more aware of what's going on with our health. Maybe we're taking a little bit better care of our house or our house plants, things like that, right? All those like Virgo things. So that will bring something up. Hopefully it's more positive than it is negative. What I'm really looking at is the building opposition that are going to be taking place actually between Mars and Jupiter. But you might start to feel this on this day. We're also just coming off of Mercury and Pluto in opposition. So Mercury, that's been in emotional Cancer, and like it's doing its thing there, making this opposition to Pluto, some very intense communications, some matters that are a little bit more stressful pertaining to work and domestic stuff. That's actually been going on yesterday and today, so it's still kind of brewing right now. There can be some dealing with like fear and like overriding fear, or issues with people trying to control something either at work or at home. So we're done with that, but we're still coming off of it, so you might still be feeling that a little bit. Then on the 27th of the month, we have Mercury, which moves into Leo. Finally, we got all these planets into Leo. Mercury, you know, sitting at 29 degrees during the beginning of the day, can feel like we have to rush to complete something, especially emotionally. It's like you're on that teeter-totter, like, do I send the text message? Do I send the email? Like, do I tell them how I feel? And then you'll feel that shift right when Mercury actually drops into Leo and it breaks through. Mars will be there, the sun will be there. Welcome to Leo season. It is jam-packed with lots of heat, and we're really gonna feel that, especially when the moon then moves into Aries. So that's gonna be fun. Mercury in Leo, it's really communicating from a I think, I feel, I need, I want, very personal, because that's what Leo is, right? So watch for that, be more aware of like the heart-mind connection, because the sun definitely is the heart and Mercury is the messenger. So we're kind of more in tune to what we need on a personal level, and we can become very passionate and very kind of feisty with our communication. On the 28th of the month, this is the day to watch. Hi, Jupiter retrogrades back into 29 degrees of Aquarius. That is the party degree, in my opinion. That is kind of like the chaotic degree. Remember, Jupiter magnifies everything he touches. So as he drops back into 29 degrees, he's retracing some of the steps that he's gone through before he made his entrance into Pisces actually a couple of months ago. So now that Jupiter is retrograde, going back into Aquarius is a little bit more wonky. Remember, Aquarius deals with vibes in the future and where we're going in terms of social situations, even political situations. So we may see a revamp of some of these topics in the world. That same day, Mars in Leo makes an exact opposition to Jupiter. So we've got Jupiter, which is about knowledge, expansion, travel. In Aquarius, it's the future of that. And then Mars is like this courageous warrior that just wants to push through, especially in Leo. It's very boastful, very pushy. And I'm expecting just some temper tantrums, some inflamed egos. Possibly we're gonna hear some news about travel, airplanes, maybe a travel boom, things that are going on in regards to everybody kind of cutting loose and traveling. I think we're gonna see a lot more people that are gonna be traveling at this time. If you have planets in the last degrees of the fixed signs, so Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, and or the first couple degrees of the mutable signs, just pay attention, because this is definitely it's kind of like a rubber band, right? When you pull this opposition really tight, Mars and Jupiter, somebody reacts and then somebody reacts bigger. There can be like a lot of like wanting to one up people. Just be cautious about how you're moving around and how you're handling anything that's sharp or heated, anything of that nature, because that 29 degrees is it's quite active. It's quite active. Drama and just like climax points that are going to be kind of popping up. Because Jupiter is moving back into Aquarius, we are going to see more of these themes revolving around social isolation, separation, whether or not we are going to be having certain cities or certain countries that are going to be opening their doors for business, or if they're going to be letting people travel, or if they're going to be bringing back certain limitations, right? In some places in the country, we're seeing that they're going back to wearing masks. And in places like California, there are some places here in Nevada, especially if you work for the state or if you're working for a business, that are opting to wear masks. You're going to hear more about this, and you're going to see people who are going to get really heated about it because of the Mars opposition. Jupiter will stay in Aquarius until the 29th or so of December. Then it's going to move back into Pisces. It's much happier in Pisces, and we're really going to see it kind of do its thing next year as it conjuncts with Jupiter. But before then, we are going to see it spend quite a bit of time in the same sign as Saturn. So even though they're roughly going to be about, at some point 10 plus degrees apart, being that we've got Saturn, which is kind of like the ball and chain, the responsible one, and Jupiter's like, woo, party, in the same sign, we are going to see extremes of both. So depending on how it aspects your chart or your personal planets, some people are saying like, oh, is there going to be another lockdown? I'm not going to speculate. I am just going to say that we are going to see limitations in some sense, especially socially, that'll come back. I'm also expecting all kinds of more monitoring and things that are being filtered and things that are being kind of manipulated on the internet and on social platforms. So watch for that as well. When Jupiter retrogrades, it will stop at around 22 degrees, which is interesting because it's going to spend quite a bit of time at 22 degrees. That for me is like a Capricorn degree. So certainly depending on what happens between now and December, it's greatly going to affect how we move forward as a society and handle this spread of the virus. Next year, Saturn will move to square the nodes, with Scorpio being the south node and the north node being in Taurus. So we're not out of the woods yet with some of this stuff. To some extent, I believe that there is no going back. This is the new normal. We may kind of adopt new social distancing measures, and it might be for the better, to be honest with you, in some situations, and it also might be better environmentally. So I think we're going to play around with like, how can we move to a future where we're not always having to commute, where we don't have a ton of people that may be in a workspace, that we kind of have alternating schedules and we have more of a work-life balance. That's what I'm hoping Saturn is going to bring us. But watch for that, because definitely that long period of a little bit over a month where Jupiter is just going to hang out and he's going to be stationing at 22 degrees, there's probably going to be some big decisions going on, at least within the states, pertaining to social distancing laws, rules, regulations, Jupiter. Jupiter in the high degrees of Aquarius is also talking about the bigger picture, where we're going. Vibrations is always Aquarius. What we're doing as a collective, right? So like vibes right now are a real thing. Now you're going to be more aware of vibrations and what friendships feel good, what social platforms feel good, what networking sites you want to belong to, who you want to be working with, who you want to be changing the world with. When it's in Pisces, while it's exalted there, it does very well. There's almost this sense of like losing touch of reality, right? Because it's in a Neptune sign, and it kind of dissolves. And like, you know, Jupiter in Pisces is very different than Jupiter in Sag. Like Jupiter in Pisces knows no bounds. So now we're more aware of our boundaries. And so it's a great time to kind of integrate and really take stock in what are my beliefs? What are my goals? Am I in alignment with that? Am I moving towards that direction? And I'm going to keep drilling home the fact that there wouldn't be so much emphasis on all 29 degrees of Aquarius like we had in February, like we're having with these full moons, like we're having with this Jupiter retrograde, if it was not for the fact that 2021 is the year where we are meant to get on track, figure out what our goals are, what direction we're going in, start looking into the future and proactively planning the future. Because in many ways, 2021 is the dress rehearsal for the next 2 years, especially if you're a fixed sign. It's giving you bits and pieces of the future and what's coming in the future, and it's giving you the opportunity to be optimistic, Jupiter, about our vision for the future before Saturn shows up and kind of like crushes everybody's plans and their parties. It's like, let's optimistically plan for where we're going, so we can start the process of laying the groundwork, almost like the imagination train for Realityville, right? So keep dreaming, keep expanding, keep the optimism, yeah, rebel, be different, right? Kind of color outside of the lines, so to say, in life right now. And you might find that you're really being pushed to go in an opposite direction. These squares that are taking place are uncomfortable, the ones that have been happening between Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius, and planets in Leo and planets that are in Taurus. So the return of the T-squares are coming. I'll talk about that in a minute, but we're going to see this revamp energy, very similar to what we had the very first 10 days of Aquarius, as Mercury and the Sun move to square Saturn and also Uranus. So it's going to get lively. So we've got this last full moon, like I said, that was at 1 degrees. The next one that we're going to be having in August is going to be taking place at 29. So I'll touch on that. On the 29th of the month, also, we have Mars, which moves into Virgo. Mars in Virgo can be really great for organizing, cleaning, really perfecting a health or a wellness routine, working in an office space, working with other people. Traditionally, Mars and the 6th house, I believe they consider that the joy of Mars, being able to serve, being able to assist, being able to help people. While Mars in Virgo can be very particular, very orderly, kind of almost a little OCD, it's really great for like being able to tackle that to-do list, or being able to finally take the dog to the vet, making your appointments for your doctor, hiring a trainer, getting a new gym membership. These kinds of things can be really helpful for Mars in Virgo. If you are a Earth sign, this will be helpful for you. It's going to give you a little push of energy depending on what planets you have in Earth signs. And if you're a Virgo or a Virgo rising, you're just going to notice that there's just like a little bit more heat kind of underneath you, right? You're a little bit more kind of aggressive, a little bit more likely to kind of want to keep things moving. You can be a little bit more short-tempered. Watch for fevers, and also just being a little bit more reckless, because that definitely can come up with a Mars transit. Not a lot's going on the 30th, but on the 31st of the month, this is the very beginning of the Sun-Mercury opposition to Saturn. It will also be triggered because the moon will be entering Taurus and enacting that same T-square that we saw at the beginning of July. This will be felt really strongly pretty much now through August 2nd, and then again on August 3rd through the new moon on the 7th of August, when we have the new moon in Leo and everything is squaring Uranus and Taurus. For some of you guys, that whole spiel just sounded like Latin. So let me break it down for you. Welcome to Leo season. It's ruled by the sun. In our solar system, all planets revolve around the sun. It burns, it gives us heat, it gives us energy, creativity, happiness, joy. It's all about the heart-centered space. So when we think about Leo season, we're really kind of getting this kind of everyday, energetic view of our solar system jam-packed into about 28 days. Interestingly enough, with the sun moving into Leo, where it does very well, it's going to make oppositions to Saturn, which means that when we're looking at the self or the ego or the own personal creativity, it will be in friction, right, and oppose and even have conflict possibly with groups. So we've got the self versus everybody else. This is like you sitting on your phone, scrolling through Instagram, looking through Facebook, seeing what all of your friends are doing, going like, oh, I feel left out. I don't have that car, or I'm not getting married, or I wish I could be living in, the Bahamas, whatever it is that you're looking at, will feel that separation, that limitation. And what it does, a good Saturn-Sun opposition gives us the opportunity to overcome something, right? So it might be like, well, all of my friends are off doing things and having fun, but I can do something fun too. Or look at my friend who just published their book. It inspires me to want to go and work on my creative projects. So a Sun-Saturn opposition can be positive, even though you may feel separation from certain friends or certain groups. It's more a time to reflect on what makes you feel good, what makes you happy. Here's where things get kind of wonky. These planets, like Mercury and the Sun, in opposition to Saturn, are going to represent a difference of ideas. So it's the personal, individual ideas, the personal beliefs, the I know, Mercury, the I believe, I think, I said. And I think there's going to be a lot of pushback and a lot of conflict from other people. Saturn in Aquarius, I think of kind of like older generations, or it could even be that, you know, they're in conflict in some way with people online. There might be like drama on social media platforms. We might see a new rollout of rules, updates and things that are happening with Facebook and other stuff. And then more people, I think, are actually going to get off of some of these platforms. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. When we also see the Sun and Mercury come into a T-square, especially this day is going to be very triggering because the moon is going to conjunct Uranus. We're just going to see that the moon is going to bring about a crisis of values. We might hear about some like wild financial news, especially in the tech markets. Really the first couple of days of August is what I'm expecting. The moon conjunct Uranus making a square is definitely going to bring about certain limitations in finances, banking, things like that. We may hear that internationally, because Jupiter is in Aquarius, there are some limitations, lockdowns, shutdowns of banks, trading, maybe even cryptocurrency. We're going to hear some weird stuff is going to start happening. And it's going to represent this rebellion that's going on about our values and the masses versus the individuals, or the big banking systems versus the little guys, right? So there's going to be a lot of like, whoa, everything's kind of out of whack, people not agreeing. Just keep your cool, realize that this is really going to be super active the first 3 days of the month. And then again, like this 3rd through the 7th, there's another wave of this, especially coming into the new moon in Leo. You may find that your value system is changing. It's shocking. It's unexpected. Some of you might be suddenly becoming more minimalist, where you're like, I want to get rid of everything. I don't care about my social media. I don't need all the platforms. I don't need all the friends. I just need me. I want to focus on me. There will be other people who will respond differently, who will basically be like, you know, can you believe that my friend voted for so-and-so and I couldn't believe they would do this and we don't agree, so we're not friends anymore. There can be conflict over what people owe you versus, you know, what you've loaned other people, or what you've borrowed from other people. There's just going to be a lot of like back and forth about what's important and what we should be protecting, or what we should be standing up for. So we're going to get heated. People are going to definitely get into some tiffs. I'm expecting some drama, and I would just say diffuse the situation, because the Sun-Mercury conjunction means everybody's in their own zone, their own I believe, I think, I feel. And when this gets triggered with the moon transit, we're likely to see where some of these unexpected situations, these conflicts, this friction that's happening between some of our social groups or some of our friends, especially friends that we've had for a long time, are helping us break out of outdated relationships, friendships, allegiances that really don't resonate with us any longer. Sometimes this friction and this conflict is necessary to kind of shake us up, right? That's what Uranus wants to do. He wants to give us some kind of, you know, rebellion that takes place in our life that really makes us aware of like what we do value and what is important. Pay attention to what happens these days, because it's likely to be shocking and also get you on the path of enlightenment and self-awareness. Sun Mercury in Leo. All right, so like I said, that's going to be active the first like week or so. So now we can get into talking about August. So maybe I'll make a note of like the timestamp, so people who don't want to hear all of this stuff, this is where we are going to be starting the monthly review. All right. So the Sun's in Leo, we are in Leo season, and this day kicks off, the first 2 days kick off with a bang, like I said. On the first of the month, we see that the Sun moves into a conjunction with Mercury at a 9. So this is like a Sag vibe, that I believe, I know, I see, I pray to, I believe in. It's very Saggy-like. And then it's going to kind of get whiplashed the next day with the opposition to Saturn. What's interesting is that as the Sun and Mercury move through Leo, even though they're kind of getting their butt kicked by Saturn, who's going to kind of rein them in and go, no, you can't do that. That's not okay. You can't say that. To me, this screams censorship, like big time. Like I think there's some massive censorship situation that's kind of playing out in the beginning of the month. These aspects, like the Sun and Mercury, will make trines to Chiron. So it's here to help us heal. I do believe that individuals very much can stand up for other individuals, and we can shine a light on where we might feel personally separated or persecuted according to our beliefs. We may also see a lot of assistance from the creative community, the artists, musicians, people like that who are going to jump in, and they're going to make music, right? That's what happens when we have like a major kind of dark period in history. There's always like a renaissance. So in a way, you know, August is, we're going to start seeing like you know, artists are coming back. People are going to be touring. You can buy tickets to shows. We're going to be able to go to the theater. We're going to be able to go places where there's going to be events. And I feel like this is an opportunity for some of these people to start coming out and going, this is what I created while we were in the midst of 2020. And there's healing that's involved with that. Sun Mercury is always about an enlightenment or an awareness. So like I said, in Leo, it's the ego, it's what we think. Just realize that any important communication, contracts, documents, things like that may not be the best time to be signing the first couple of days of August, because that Saturn opposition suggests somebody may not agree. You guys might not be able to find the middle ground. Mediations aren't going to be so great that day. There's definitely going to be a lot of separate opinions and separate beliefs. So take that into consideration. The Sun in Leo, in a challenging aspect also to Uranus, this is what's going to be building, is basically group values, friends, possessions in friction with Saturn and Aquarius. So it's bringing up this theme once again of illusion of separation. Are we really separated? How can we come together? Do we even want to be with some of those people? Kind of the flip side of what I've seen is I've heard a lot of people, a lot of clients have actually said to me, you know, through this pandemic, I've kind of realized who my real friends are. And the more that I thought about it, I was like, huh, that's an interesting perspective, because so many people felt that they were lonely, they were isolated, they were separated. But we've also seen many friends that instead of getting together for their weekly brunch or their monthly hangout, they've had Zoom calls. We've been able to still have you know, parties, and I have a friend actually that's going to be having a baby shower soon. Her baby shower is going to be on Zoom. She lives in a different state. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like, in a way, we might actually be able to really appreciate some of the friendships that really made it through this last year, and we can become stronger. So those of you guys who are kind of sorting out and kind of clearing some friends out, you may be more appreciative and you may value more the friends that might have more substance in your life. There may be some sense of you kind of cutting out friends who you had around because they were connected to people, or just kind of those friends that you kind of had that you spent time with because you just wanted to be able to go and socialize and do things. Now many people are kind of focusing on friendships that really enrich their lives and people who are more in alignment with the person that they are becoming. So I would kind of meditate on it, think about that a little bit. On the second, with that Sun-Mercury opposition to Saturn, I see that as overcoming obstacles, communication obstacles, mental obstacles, travel obstacles. You know, there can be like limitations and delays going on with traveling. If you're traveling this day, just be mindful, be patient, take your time when you are moving around and going places. Then on the 3rd of the month, we're going to see that Venus in Virgo makes a trine to Uranus in Taurus. I like this a lot, especially because it's an earth sign. So I feel like we'll see the physical manifestations of this. We will see this stabilize. It's going to be very interesting. Yes, Venus doesn't do so hot in Virgo, but she does want to serve. She does want to purify, cleanse, make something better, help heal, right? So with that trine to Uranus, it can be a great time to, you know, share assistance with other people. You can actually physically help somebody. Somebody can help you. There can be innovations in relationships, finances, things of that nature. It's definitely sometimes kind of surprising when you have a Venus-Uranus transit. It's very quick, but it definitely can change up relationships, and you can find that there's more physical changing that's happening in relationships. Innovation also in partnerships. When I think about Taurus, it's what we have, what we eat, what we value, and then Virgo is being of assistance. People might make some dietary changes that happen around this transit as well, especially if you have planets in any of the earth signs. That's very possible. That same day, Mercury in Leo will make a square to Uranus and Taurus. So just between the Venus trine Uranus, which is free-flowing changes in relationships, and then we're also going to have the Mercury in Leo square Uranus and Taurus, friction, you know, people not agreeing, changes in relationships very suddenly can happen. Thankfully, the same day, we do have that Moon North Node conjunction, so it is aligning us emotionally with our destiny. And when the Moon is conjunct the North Node in Gemini, it's basically saying, like, now's the time to communicate, talk it out. It'll be in a trine to Saturn, so there is an opportunity to get assistance from other people. Friends that'll pick up the phone and hear what you have to say, the ability to stop and listen and to see somebody else's perspective, and that does sextile the Sun Mercury. So something I would tell everybody the first week of August is, when you are coming into conflict with a situation, a person, a disagreement, stop. Listen, give each party the opportunity and the ability to speak and kind of say what they feel, get it all out in the open. That's how we work with these energies. We can see fire, right? We can see earth, we can see water. Many of my clients are telling me they're struggling because they don't really see, and they're not really feeling like they're integrating the North Node in Gemini and also all of these planets in Aquarius. But these elements are the elements of air. So, we're not going to see it. Maybe you see wind, right? And winds can kind of blow things around. But when in doubt, communicate. That's why I have loved the retrogrades in all of 2021. We've got one more that's coming, and that's going to be in October, and that'll be taking place in Libra. But during this kind of stressful aspect that happens on the 3rd, when in doubt, talk it out. Then we are also going to see on the 6th of the month, the sun joins the clash. And this is very reminiscent of like the 4th of July that we had, and all of the crash, boom, bang transits that took place those days. So on this day, we see this square between the sun and Uranus. What happens when the sun squares Uranus? Changes, clashes, unpredictable things pop, like situations pop. There can also be collisions or accidents, so be mindful of that, Uranus is electrifying and the sun deals with our ego, so we're going to kind of crash into things that are going to give us this awareness. People may act very unpredictable. People may blow up, especially if you've got planets that are in the early degrees, or the mid degrees of the fixed signs. Especially the people who are getting really hit hard by this are Leo risings, Taurus suns, Scorpio and Pluto generation, Saturn and Aquarius generation, the list goes on. So if you're any one of these people, it's a good time to take a look at your chart or even consider getting a reading. On the 8th of the month, then we are going to have a new moon in Leo. It gets kind of rocky as it's coming into that new moon. So those couple days leading up to that may feel rather intense. Leo new moons are great for aligning with the self. It's romantic, it's fun, it's playful, it's creative. It's about younger people and being able to be in a heart-centered space. What I'm not crazy about is that we're coming off of, right before that moon, the moon in opposition to Pluto, so the moon in Cancer in opposition to Pluto, and then it's also going to come into a square with Uranus. So something about that first 3 days of August becomes reiterated again, the 6th, 7th, the 8th, up into the new moon. And a new moon is an opportunity to plant new seeds for the next 30 days, or ultimately really coming to a complete conclusion within 6 months, which will take place, later this year, or actually it'll be in early of 2022. What I see with the sun and the moon conjunct, because whenever we have a new moon, we want to look at the ruling planet. So in this case, the moon is ruled by the sun. The conscious and the unconscious come together. Squaring Uranus, temper tantrums, the need to innovate, make changes. It's uncomfortable. Thankfully, the square is separating because it's at 16 degrees, but nevertheless, we're going to feel it. And I think that the real focus of this new moon is going to be getting into alignment with what the heart wants and what the heart needs, even if that's going to cause some static. There's something that's going to come up during this new moon that's really going to put the pressure on being authentic, being open, being honest, accepting that the heart wants what the heart wants, even if it doesn't make sense financially, even if it doesn't make sense physically, or in any other physical term, right? Like, I think many people are going to have situations that are like, I know my relationship is over. I know I shouldn't be divorcing my partner because they support me. I know this is crazy, but I gotta go. Or I know I gotta put out this album. It's just coming out of me, and I've just been working so hard and creating and putting my heart and soul into it, and I don't know how I'm gonna finance it, but I'm gonna put it out. Or it doesn't matter if I make money on it, but I'm gonna put it out. There is huge radical shifts that are going to be happening the first week of August. Personally, I'm trying to remain optimistic. I'm trying to stay really open-minded, just to level with you guys. Like, I'm not one of those astrologers who's going to sit on my throne and act like, the stars and the planets don't affect me. I'm getting my ass kicked, even coming out of my Saturn return, because all of these planets are squaring my natal Pluto. So it's pushing me to change. It's pushing me to really evaluate power and what power means, and that coming into my authenticity sometimes means going against the grain. I'm also having transits on my North Node. So what I'm learning is sometimes really going into the path of what's best for me rubs a lot of people the wrong way. And I'm trying to stay humble with that and kind of realize that I need to kind of just put my blinders on and really focus on what's going on around me and trying to contribute to the world the best way that I can. So this has been my outlet for that. So if you're feeling that pressure, you're not alone in that. And I think that a lot of the people who have the Pluto and Scorpio generation, some people who are even born in the 80s have already been going through this the last 2 or 3 years. On the other side of this is like a major radical shift and like a rebirth into like a completely different person, because Pluto says you have to evolve. It's like transmute or die, right? So watch out for the first couple days of August. Gets a little heated. After that new moon, things calm down a little bit. On the 9th of the month, we're going to see that Venus comes into an opposition with Neptune. Okay. Venus in Virgo, helping, serving, being of service, probably self-sacrificial in a way. And then Neptune is already kind of foggy, obscure, things like that. On the plus side, it's good for like being romantic, being emotional, writing poetry, you know, having some wine, listening to some music, relaxing, things like that. Can be a bit of like a downer and a disappointment in love or relationships or finances, right? It's like, is there confusion? Are you living in a fantasy world? Are you putting somebody on a pedestal? Does something look too good to be true? Are you getting scammed potentially by somebody? Just be kind of cautious and aware of anything that's going on pertaining to finances or love this day. At a Capricorn degree, I feel like there can be some miscommunications about control or management of money, especially banking systems. We might hear that there's positive news going on in the markets, or that the government is going to be initiating some new law or regulation or assistance, and it might be bullshit. So we'll see how that plays out. Thankfully, that same day, also the moon conjuncts Mars. I think it's going to make people like really passionate, and I think it's going to make people want to jump into being of assistance and helping people. Totally makes sense coming off the heels of the first week of August. Kind of wild. Then on the 10th of the month, we have Mercury in Leo coming into an opposition with Jupiter in Aquarius. Exclamation points, exaggeration, people maybe telling some fibs and some little white lies, things like that going on. I would just say watch out for drama. There can be sudden opportunities to travel, new opportunities for information, knowledge. On one hand, I see, you know, the Mercury opposition is like exciting. On the other hand, I'm like, it might be too much information, right? Too much travel, too sudden, somebody sending too long of a text message. Like, really think about things before you share, because there can be a sense of oversharing or even putting your foot in your mouth. Remember, we're in between 2 full moons. So if you thought the last one was something, the second one that we're gonna have in August is like, holy shift. It's gonna be really wild. So then on the 11th of the month, Venus in Virgo makes a trine to Pluto in Capricorn. I like that. Deep, passionate. The moon joins that trine, so that's going to be kind of nice as well. You know, something about the moon Venus trine Pluto is about revamping love relationships, going deeper. I don't see it quite as obsessive maybe as the conjunction or the square. I see it as going deeper and being more practical in love and financial matters. Definitely a good day to be aligning with other people, to be talking about long-term power plans, power couples, future financial plans, especially because the moon will kind of move from the trine to Uranus, conjunct Venus, and come into a trine with Pluto. Probably one of the better moon transits, honestly, for the entire month. Then we have on the 16th of the month, Venus is going to enter into Libra. So Venus is super happy in Libra, right? If you are a Libra sun or a Libra rising, really great time to make changes or updates to your physical appearance, your hair, makeup, clothes, things like that. You might just be radiating a little bit more and a little bit more attractive or beautiful than usual. Venus rules, you know, in Libra, partnership, balance, finding the middle ground, being able to find something that works for both parties. So I think that it can be really great for relationships. I think it can give us the opportunity to find harmony or find peace in relationships. We've got a brief period of time while Venus is sitting in Libra and moves into a trine with Saturn in the North Node, which is very harmonious for relationships. but it will make an opposition to Chiron. So the first couple days of this transit, the 16th through, I'll give you the opposition date, is quite lovely. It's very nice. I like that. It can be really great for just like bringing people together too, because Venus really likes to be in a partnership when it's in Libra. On the 18th of the month, things get a little hairy. We've got Mercury coming into a conjunction with Mars in Virgo. So the nice thing is that the moon guides this into action, but Mercury is our words, it's communication, loves being in Virgo. It does very well there. But with Mars, it's almost like that, I gotta say it right now, gotta communicate right now, gotta help them, gotta get my point across. People can be super pushy. So that's one thing that I would really kind of look out for during that time. Abrupt, picky communication. We want to use it more for problem solving, assisting people, being able to quickly move into action and make changes. On the 19th of the month, we have the Sun in Leo opposing Jupiter in Aquarius. So lucky, super optimistic. I could see this as like bright, sunny. Watch out for ego stuff. Stay humble. You know, try to stay in your lane. Try not to be overly optimistic about things if at all possible. I also see that moon conjuncts Pluto. So that's like a funky in conjunct that it's making to the sun. That tells me like there's some emotional shift that happens and things can get kind of like a pressure cooker and you're like, it's okay, everything's gonna be fine, we're gonna work through it. Prayer, optimism, awareness, kind of staying open and motivated is really gonna help you through that transit. On the 19th also, Uranus goes retrograde. It's gonna go retrograde for a couple months in Taurus. I, for one, actually feel like this retrograde is going to be a little wild because during this retrograde, we're actually going to see that we're coming into oppositions with planets in Scorpio. That'll be happening September, October, November. So this retrograde is about integrating and kind of reflecting on all the radical changes that we've made over the last couple of months, how we can start to really integrate them into our life more and revamp our values. I find it interesting that it's coming off the heels of 2 months of some really hard fixed squares. So it tells me people have been reluctant to make change. Just a word to the wise, make the changes, lean into the change. If something is a problem this year, make it bigger, because the next 2 years we're going to see with those squares from Saturn, it's just going to keep coming back around and kind of pushing us into letting something go or evolving, okay? On the 20th of the month, Mercury in Virgo makes a trine to Uranus in Taurus. So Mercury messenger, Uranus and Taurus, which is about changing of our values, innovation, changing details, perfecting things, being able to get down to practical matters. I love all of these earth trines that are happening because we're going to see lots of physical change. Some pickiness still from that trine, but you know, it is what it is. I think it'll really help us kind of sort and sift through things and kind of figure out like what is and is not working. That's what I really like. Like when we have these planets in Virgo, it's going to work well with Uranus and Taurus because it's going to go, yes, no, this works, this doesn't work, get rid of that, recycle that, dispose of this. And like you can actually like clean and purge your house, or you can like really get down to details with organizing your finances. You're also very likely just to make better decisions all around when it comes to what you're eating and your health as well. So that's really positive. On the 22nd of the month, this is like the big news. This is going to be the second full moon in Aquarius. It's a wild card. Jupiter's calling. He wants to have a conversation. He wants to talk to you about the future. At 29 degrees, he's talking about where we're going to be over the next 2 years. Remember that Saturn will get up to around, I think, 27 or 28 degrees next year. It won't really cross into Pisces until, I think, around 2023. So Saturn wants to give you a little bit of insight into the future. Jupiter, it's boasting with optimism. So this is a really great day to really pay attention to all of the symbolism and the things you're talking about, because it's going to hit a climax. More rebellion, more craziness is also what I'm expecting. That same day, the sun enters into the mutable earth sign of Virgo, and Mars in Virgo trines Uranus. A lot of Uranus kind of action going on, especially with a full moon in Aquarius, so expect the unexpected. On the 23rd of the month, Venus in Libra trines Saturn in Aquarius. I love it. It has the previous 2 days also been trining the North Node. So we've got an air trine from stable Saturn, from the North Node, which is communication and where we're going, talking about things, communicating, sharing ideas, and then Venus joins the mix, and it's just really sweet communication. It can also be celebrations with friends, commitments, planning for the future, hearing about parties, hearing about weddings, people coming together. So I really like that energy. On the 24th of the month, Mercury and Virgo will oppose Neptune and Pisces. Once again, another day that's not great for communication, signing things, signing leases, buying cars, maybe even taking new jobs, agreeing to financial things, because Neptune is going to totally, fog anything that you're trying to get across. Like you're trying to kind of relay this information, and Neptune goes, I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe I'll be there. Yeah, I'll give it to you, when I can. It's going to be hard to kind of nail down details, especially while that moon is in Pisces. And the moon will also come into an opposition with Mercury and Mars. So people can be like, why aren't they calling me back? Why haven't they responded to my email? Where are they? They've vanished. What's happening? Like, just take a breather, wait for that moon to leave Pisces, wait for this opposition to clear, and then it's going to get a little bit easier. On the 26th is really the month that I'm looking for, and that might be the day that I'm looking for. That may be when you get your answer as to whatever that crisis was, or why somebody was not communicating with you. Why? Well, because on that day, we're going to see that Mercury in Virgo comes into a trine with Pluto in Capricorn. We stabilize, we get really laser sharp and clear about our plans, our details, what we need. Somebody might kind of really throw down the gauntlet and say, I need this, this is what has to happen. You need to get back to me by this time, or I'm moving forward. So there can be a little bit more of like powerful communication, especially in the days following when the moon moves into Taurus. Which you will see right around the 28th. And I think it'll solidify a lot of those issues, which will be good. And also the moon Uranus conjunction is gonna light up the Saturn square again. So watch out for that. And then on the 30th of the month, we have got Mercury entering Libra. So very diplomatic, finding balance. It's the peacemaker. It's about, commitments, agreements, partnerships coming together, and agreeing or signing things. So it can be important opportunities to initiate new conversations and communications about relationships. And that's everything. Crazy. That was quite a bit this month. Moved through it pretty quickly. These are just the transits that I find the most important, so you can also circle back to this and you can listen to it, or you can jot all of these dates down and just make notes of when certain things are happening. Obviously, I will be back and talk to you guys about each and every one of my weekly videos, and we'll go deeper into what's happening in the week ahead. Next week, I really want to talk more about the Sun conjunction with Mercury, and also how it's coming and coming into an opposition with Saturn, and how to remain optimistic, or how to remain steadfast in your thoughts and what you feel, so that way you're not kind of getting thrown off course by everybody who's around you who may have opposite opinions, because staying really in alignment with your individual beliefs are going to be incredibly important in not following the crowd, right? Not following the crowd. I think that's the big thing that I would think about is where is going against the grain actually a good thing in certain situations? And what are you doing that's different? And how does that feel? How does it feel to kind of stand outside of everybody else who might be going in one direction? Or where are there things going on socially where it's just not resonating with you anymore and you don't feel like you're being authentic? That's something I would really think about. Let's pull a couple cards and talk about what August has in store for each and every one of the 12 signs. Listen for your sun and your rising sign. And don't forget to stay tuned this Friday. I'm going to be doing live readings. Check out my schedule. I have all of that listed. I try to do it a month in advance so you can kind of plan and see. But I'll be here Friday night and we will be talking astrology. So if you have questions, make sure you save that on your calendar, or make sure that you subscribe to my channel so you get those alerts. If you like my reading style and want to book a reading with me, check out my links below. Check out my website. You can also check out all my social media handles. If you're into like astrology memes and things like that, you can find that on my Instagram. And I really appreciate all of the support, even if you guys just show up and you watch and you share this. Thank you very much. By liking and sharing and commenting, it allows me to bring this information to other people who could utilize it. It also, it's fun for me because I can interact with you guys. All right, so let's take a look at Aries and what Aries has in store for August, for the month ahead. Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands is quick, swift moving energy, going in a different direction, being really focused, like laser focused on where you're going. It makes sense. There's a lot of fire energy going on this month for you. You might feel more active. This might really make sense also with the planets that are getting ready to move into your 6th house. You know, you've got Mars there. The sun will be going into Virgo as well. So it's really important maybe for you to just be getting active and moving around, or you just might feel like you need to be more active than usual. Okay. Oops. Didn't even get into Taurus and it already jumped. We've got the Strength card for Taurus. Hopefully you can see that. Strength is talking about feeling like you don't have to strangle or manhandle a situation. That strength and you know, the ability to show strength sometimes is not about physical strength. Sometimes it's about emotional strength and allowing something to come to you, not holding on to it too tight, loving it, holding it. You know, Taurus, you got a lot of energy that's going on in your 4th house right now, and it's all about what's going on with your home and your family and your domestic zone, maybe even children. So there can be more of a focus and an emphasis on what's going on with that in your life this month, and letting certain situations kind of come together on their own and trying to practice like love and compassion. For Gemini, we've got 6 of coins. So this is talking about finding balance, finding assistance, getting help, being able to get the help that you need, somebody showing up if you are in need, there being somebody who kind of brings something to you, assists you in some way. That makes sense with all these planets that are going through Virgo, so you can find that there just is more assistance when it comes to your home, to your family, finding the right person for a job, trying to fix something, trying to bring somebody in. Equally, it can also be about paying it forward. So it's about that coming full circle for you this month. For Cancer, and Cancer rising, oh, Queen of Cups. So this can be talking about you emotionally, getting a hold of your emotions, dealing with emotions differently, handling emotions differently, focusing more on a mother or a female figure, you as a mother, you living with a woman, deciding to be a mom, dealing with somebody to come and visit with you. Makes sense as we're seeing planets moving into Libra. There can be more of a focus on some of these more kind of like domestic matters. This can be matters of the heart and some kind of healing that you're doing pertaining to that. Your intuition coming online, being more aware of something, being more in tune to something, right? Especially like when I think about what's going on with your chart, we've got planets that are moving from the 2nd house into the 3rd. So there can definitely be more of a focus on like how you feel about what you're eating, how you're feeling about your finances, how you're feeling about where your life is going. So be really in tune to what's going on with you emotionally. All right, so let's get into Leo. It's your month, Leo. And some Virgos at the end of the month too. I won't forget you guys. So what does Leo need to know for the month of August? 7 of Swords. Can you trust someone? Can you trust something? What's going on that you're not aware of? What are you missing? What are you not seeing? Really pay attention, Leo, especially to anything that's happening pertaining to finances. Keep in mind that some of these Neptune, Venus opposition things are happening between your 2nd and your 8th house. Can you trust somebody emotionally, financially? Can you trust them with a secret? Can you trust them with some information? Okay. Be mindful of the Venus opposition to Neptune dates because these might affect you a little bit more. There can be scam energy or something that is taken from you. Be mindful of that. And we got Virgo. So what does Virgo need to know about the month of August? Ooh, Ooh, you guys got 2 cards. A lot of planets are moving through your 12th house. So this makes sense, right? 9 of Swords, issues with sleeping, nightmares, anxiety, things keeping you up at night, worrying about things, not knowing where a situation is going, not knowing if something's going to change. I would like you to get into a routine before you go to bed, especially with some of these planets in your 12th house, just until maybe the sun crosses your ascendant. And then I think you're going to be feeling a little bit better. You'll be feeling brand new. Might be a good time for you to do some soul searching. Might be a good time for you to go on a trip. Focus on releasing, letting go, healing, psychic healing, Reiki healing, talking to a therapist, talking to a healer, doing a meditation, past life regression, maybe even like hypnotism. If you just have something on your mind that you can't let go, or someone you can't let go of, this can be a wonderful time to like purge all of that and have some spiritual renewal going on. For Libra and Libra rising, what do you need to know about August? What do we need to know about August? Okay, I'm going to pull that card and that card. These are the 2 that I saw first. 6 of Cups. Reminiscing, emotional stuff, stuff pertaining to your childhood, children, soulmates, perhaps maybe like a lot of reflecting on the past. I could see that, especially as like Venus and Mars are doing their thing and moving into your 12th house. There can be somebody that you're thinking about a lot, somebody from the past who comes back. Maybe it's in a dream. Maybe it's somebody who reaches out to you. Why do I say that? Because the 6 of Wands comes up. So it tells me like maybe you're thinking about whether or not you should reach out to somebody. You're wondering, are they going to be open to it? Or vice versa. It could be the other way around. I do feel like there's an opportunity to kind of smooth something over from the past. I do feel like it's about you getting over something from the past, not going back to the past, like actively being able to move on and having better patterns, releasing, forgiving somebody, something like that could be happening this month. So that looks positive. And then we got Scorpio. So what does Scorpio need to know? This has been a very powerful month for Scorpios, or it will be, because of their career aspects, with all these planets running through your 10th house and also through your 11th. Just for Scorpios, be mindful of these Venus transits in your 12th. Can definitely have some funky secrets going on in relationships. If you have somebody from the past who comes back, it would not surprise me. Queen of Cups. Interesting that you got this and Cancer got this, and you guys are both water signs. Your intuition, what's going on with your intuition, being more emotionally aligned with where your life is going, paying attention to your visions. This can also be talking about like wanting to be in love, wanting to fall in love, feeling the love, like intuitively navigating things, paying attention to your dreams and your intuitions. The other card that also I saw was the Lovers. So I do feel like this is about making decisions about matters of the heart, maybe picking between 2 people. Maybe it's moving on from one person, finally letting somebody go, feeling like you're in the driver's seat, and trusting your intuition and what visions are coming up for you. For Sag, Strength card again. A lot of the same cards are coming up. Interesting that this is Leo season, so this is a sister sign for you, Sag. This is also talking about everything that's going on in your 9th house. Passion, creativity, travel, knowledge, fun, information, self-expression. This can also be talking about you dealing with a Leo, or this can be talking about you thinking about the bigger picture, pertaining to creativity, children, your childhood, things of that nature. This also makes me feel like there can be more romance and passion coming up for you. There can also be a sense of you really kind of letting your guard down and being more open to the idea of connecting with somebody. It can also be about you finding your passion through travel or through education, okay? For Capricorn, Capricorn rising, what does August have in store for you? 5 of Coins, ouch. So this kind of makes sense to me with some of the energies that are going on in your chart right now. This can be more difficult for you to be navigating, especially considering that we've got all of these planets that are going through the part of your chart that is really kind of like dealing with whether or not you have enough, right? 8th house, enough. Is there enough love? Is there enough sex? Is there enough security? Are you strapped for cash? Are you worrying about paying off a bill? The 5 of Pentacles talks about being left out in the cold. So even if it's not financial, I think it does talk about feeling like you're not receiving enough, and reflecting on that and really determining whether or not you can maintain the way that you're going. Whether this is a budget, your spending habits, whether this is how you're eating, whether or not a relationship is giving you enough intimacy, whether or not you're feeling super fulfilled, or if you're feeling secure. Security is going to be a huge topic. The other card that popped up for you was the Chariot. So for me, that talks about more being about partnerships and what other people give you, and that you need to be speaking up more and actually taking action if you're feeling like you're not feeling secure, if you're not feeling safe. It can also be stuff that comes up pertaining to cars and vehicles, expenses, travel expenses. For Aquarius and Aquarius rising, what does August have in store for you? Three of Swords. That doesn't surprise me. 2 full moons, all these planets in your 7th house of relationships. Saturn's in your 1st house, Jupiter's in your 1st house. You might feel like the Lone Ranger. You might feel like it's all on you. You might feel like there's some separation from a partnership, that you're really trying to get closer to a partnership. You're feeling isolated, you're feeling lonely. The good news is that what comes after this card is definitely healing, right? And being able to remove the swords from your heart, recovering from heartbreak, recovering from this feeling that you're not good enough if you're on your own, or issues that you may have with your body. The good news is that I see this energy shifting, I see it moving, but I also see you fighting it a little bit, being like, no, I don't want to do that. Like you're rebelling against actually what's good for you, and independence might be exactly what you need. Keep your body moving and be open to making swift changes. And if some type of shift has to happen for you physically, for your body, with your relationships, if you have to take more time to yourself, take it. Do not push back on that. And last but not least, Pisces. So what does Pisces have in store for August? What do they need to know? Definitely a lot of epiphanies, enlightenment going on for you this month. Oop. The card that I got was, well, the sun. So again, the sun. So it's shining a light on Aquarius in your chart, right? 12th house. Taking your time, healing, taking your time when it comes to making financial changes, investments. There can be a message that comes to you about money. You might be more anxious about money. You might be trying to heal a health situation. You might be making changes in your physical routine. You might be practicing mindfulness, slowing down, realizing that this is necessary. Even if it makes you a little anxious because it's very different than how you usually handle things, it's saying it's very important that you do this. And also just like the sun highlighting, you know, the night coming up, it really tells me that there is an opportunity that may pop up for you financially, but it's going to take time to play out. It may also mean that you're just reflecting on your creative endeavors. You're reflecting on things that you actually want to be putting time and energy and effort into, but you need resources. So it's going to shine a light on resources, support coming for you. Hopefully that was helpful for all of you guys. Thank you for staying for probably, I'm going to guess, is a little bit of a longer video than what I usually do. If you have any comments or any questions, please leave them below. I love hearing from you guys and interacting with you guys in the chat. I will be back on Friday, and I look forward to answering your questions about astrology. So join me for that live. Don't forget to share, like, comment, and subscribe. Please enjoy the next week. And also those of you guys who are watching this for the August monthly, buckle up. Things are going to get a little colorful. I'm really excited for this revolution that's taking place in our lives. And I hope that you join me in being a part of the change that you would like to see in the world. I will see all of you guys very soon. Have a happy August. Take care.